I'm here with Peter Simonson. He's the executive director of the ACLU of New Mexico. Peter, you've been in our studio all morning as we sit here doing stuff with national broadcasters on this developing situation at our border. Tell us what we know now that's of the stuff that's being reported, that we've got a group of vigilante group folks down there armed who are stopping migrants coming over the border and detaining them. How are they able to do this? Are they working with our government? Who are these people and what's going on?
Yeah, so it's a group of vigilantes that I don't know how long they've been organizing down on the border, probably a few months now. We were aware of them, but our experience with these groups from the early 2000s, when the Minutemen were sort of surging in the country, is that they don't go to these kinds of lengths. So we were kind of surprised to find out that they were getting so aggressive as to actually start detaining people at gunpoint. And that's indeed what happened last week. To our understanding, they had detained two separate groups of immigrant families. The first, a little over 300 people. The second, a little over 200 people. And both of those groups, they called in Border Patrol to come pick those folks up and take them away to custody. And you know, on the face of it, maybe that sounds sort of innocuous, but let me tell you, when you watch these videos, they are horrifying. They are enraging, because what you see are young women, young children, infants even, families being held at gunpoint by masked men in camouflage gear, semi-automatic weapons, sometimes pointing them at these families while they huddle in the sand in the dead of night out in the middle of a remote part of the desert, in a situation where anything could happen. And that was really our concern, is that anything could happen. And
right.
Who knows what might trigger gunshots in a situation like that.
Do these folks have any relationship at all officially with our law enforcement, our Border Patrol folks?
No, the Border Patrol has officially denied any collaboration with them, and they have said that they do not endorse or condone their activity. The problem with that is these vigilantes have posted hours upon hours of Facebook video that clearly shows that Border Patrol is responding to their calls, is coming to apprehend the folks that they are illegally imprisoning, and then taking them away. And in fact, even in one video segment, a Border Patrol officer tells the vigilantes to hold these folks for a while, I'll be back. Wow. And that kind of collaboration is absolutely unacceptable. Our government, our federal government, needs to draw a bright line between what is proper law enforcement, what's proper immigration enforcement, and what is the role of the private citizen. And these folks have gone way beyond the pale, and our government, Border Patrol included, needs to set an example with these folks that this kind of behavior cannot be tolerated.
As we sit here at Monday midday of the cycle of this story, have we heard anything from the federal government either denying that saying something about these groups? Have they said anything at all about the legality or illegality of these groups?
They have brought federal charges, federal gun charges against the leader of the group, and to my knowledge right now, in fact he's appearing in court today, but to my knowledge no further charges have been filed, but you know, oftentimes that's the way these investigations go. They file the initial round of charges, and there may be further investigations that continue as a result of that initial investigation, that initial arrest. So, you know, we're cautiously optimistic that we will see more charges come down, because if you look at the video evidence, and I can't draw conclusions, not being a lawyer, not being a judge, but on the face of it, what you see in those videos would strongly suggest that these individuals are impersonating federal officers, even to the degree of announcing themselves as U.S. Border Patrol as they approach immigrant families. Wow. And that they violate the federal statute on kidnapping, a very, very serious crime that prohibits a private citizen from detaining somebody against their will, no matter citizen, immigrant, whatever their status might be. That's irrelevant. People, when they arrive in this country, even if they are not documented, do enjoy some rights under the Constitution. And in this case, their liberty has been denied.
What are the next steps for ACLU? What are you folks planning? I'm sure you're in a panic mode at the office right now. Or is this something you're going to be filing today? Is it something you can work with other law enforcement offices here in New Mexico? What's the next step?
So we're exploring multiple options right now, but certainly first and foremost our interest is in ensuring that federal, state, and local authorities are investigating and prosecuting these matters to the fullest extent. We want to make sure that these families are not, more families are not put in harm's way. And so we'll be meeting, to the degree that we can, we'll be meeting with those authorities to encourage as aggressive action as possible. And then down the road, we'll see how the story develops. We have other options that may be available to us as well.
It seems pretty clear that unless something happens here, there's a lot of copycat possibilities here. Do you know what I mean? If no one says anything, the federal government doesn't really do anything except, arrest the leader of this, it would appear that this is an okay thing to do for lots of folks out there. Is that part of your concern here, that this could grow?
Certainly that is a concern, and yet a related concern is that if the consequences for this activity are not severe enough, that it may be just enough to incite the anger of other folks who share similar sentiments to these vigilantes, that they would actually risk the consequences because they don't seem all that significant, and as a way of demonstrating their defiance to the government, go ahead and start organizing similar militia groups in other parts of the border. That is my key fear, and it's why our authorities need to take this so seriously, and they need to demonstrate that this kind of behavior, this kind of activity is absolutely unacceptable in the United States of America.
Right. What would be a more appropriate way to you to manage this situation? Otero County feels very stressed right now. Certainly on the political side, they feel very stressed right now. What's your suggestion? What's your thought about how we could alleviate some of this? We've got walls going up in New Mexico, in this county as well. Do you see what I mean? It's sort of a lot of things are coming to bear all at once down there. What's your thought on what's the best way to do this?
Well, I think I start from two places. One, clearly the answer is not to have private, heavily armed, untrained citizens enforcing federal laws. That is that's a deal breaker right there. But beyond that, I think we have to approach the question of immigration as the complex issue that it really is. There are multiple factors that are responsible for people coming across our border, and now that we may be seeing more people come across our border in New Mexico. The circumstances in their home countries that these people are fleeing are genuinely violent. We've interacted with, even represented many families who are experiencing legitimate violence that I think any of us as Americans would flee and try to provide safety for our own families. Others are coming to provide a better life for their families and for their children. We need to approach this from the complex standpoint that it truly demands. And I think that means not simply shutting off the possibility of asylum, as this administration has tried to do. Border walls, what they are doing right now is channeling people into the most remote parts of the desert. We know, I think we can all agree, that no border wall is going to stop the immigration flow. So we need a legitimate policy that gives people a legitimate chance to seek asylum in this country and to actually pursue a path to citizenship and become contributing members of our society.
How about aid to these countries that have migrants coming in? We've had this administration has made it very clear they want to turn the spigot off.
Yeah.
Is that the answer to you, or what? If not, what would be the better way to go?
Of course, our mission is not sort of these sort of international relations questions,
Sure.
but on the face of it, it seems pretty simplistic, pretty obvious that if we're going to try to resolve some of the tensions that people are experiencing that cause them to immigrate, that we need to support those countries in trying to reduce the violence, trying to reduce the tensions that these families are experiencing, whether it's gang violence, whether it's the result of narco trafficking, even domestic violence. These are all things that are significant contributors to the migrant flow right now. And these folks are coming in hopes of seeking the sanctuary that the U.S. is a promise to them. That's the image that people have of our country. And frankly, I think the fact that this president has made such a demonstration that he's shutting down the border has in some ways inspired people to come, out of concern that if they don't come now, they may never have the opportunity.
I never would have thought of that. Interesting. It's very complex. We appreciate you coming in. It's a very busy day for you right now for the ACLU of New Mexico. Peter Simonson, thank you very much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.